In order to stay afloat, most businesses aim to be profitable. Gacha games are no exception to this, and many fail to survive their first year. For the gacha games that do make it past their 1-year anniversary, their monetization strategy slowly begins to change. It can become aggressive, desperately wishing to squeeze out every cent you may have. It's no secret that monetization in gacha games is predatory. It appeals to your brain in a similar way that gambling does. In fact, gacha is just really another form of gambling. I'm going to break down just how frightening monetization in gacha games can truly be, and my hopes is that after you watch this video, you'll be able to make informed decisions should you choose to spend on your favorite gacha games. Mechanics. Gacha games typically rely on a pulling system or loot box system. You gain access to pulls with a specific currency and you will have the chance at a rare item. The key word here is chance. There is no guarantee that you will leave with the item you want, and that's exactly where the thrill lies. You may get your sought after item in a few pulls, or it can take you hundreds. It's quite literally luck of the draw. Because these pulls are completely random, many games have adopted a pity system to ensure that eventually, if enough pulls are consumed, you'll have the item that you want. A lot of gacha titles since Genshin Impact do this, and you may have heard about the phrase 50-50 before. 50-50 means you have an even split to get what you want, and if you lose it, you're guaranteed the item you want as long as you keep pulling. Every game handles this differently, of course, and there's some gacha games that don't have pity at all. However, that's not everything. In gacha titles, a lot of their pullable banners or items are on a timer. If you don't get what you want before the time runs out, then you won't know when it will be available to you again. This drives FOMO, or fear of missing out, which incentivizes many players to dig into their wallets to ensure they get what they want. Or it makes players really think about the road ahead and how to save up their currency so when an item or character they want drops, they can make sure they have enough currency to guarantee them. We also have to consider the idea of paid currency versus grindable currency. This has become a big topic with the introduction of Millie Astro Wonderland having both of these aspects. You can grind the normal currency for less desirable banners, or you can pay money to pull on the premium banner that has better drop rates. There are some games like Pokemon Masters EX that have paid only banners as well, but typically they offer higher rate ups in exchange. What makes gacha games potentially dangerous is that they won't just implement one of the above mechanics we just talked about, but rather numerous of them all at once. This creates a conflict of feelings in the player base to make sure they choose wisely, and hopefully, that wise choice leads them to their wallets, which leads me to my next section. Psychology. I already talked briefly about FOMO, so let's go deeper. Fear of missing out is not a brand new concept to gacha, but it is one of the most utilized methods. The limited time banners is a prime example of this, but it can go further than this. Some games have special bundles that pop up on the screen with text exclaiming the deal will run out in a matter of minutes. Pop-ups like these exist to entice the player to spend maybe just $1 or $2, but once you break the boundary, you open the floodgates. So you spent $2, what's a few more? You're enjoying your time playing the game, so what's $20 going to do? I found out in my years of playing gacha games, players that spend even just $1 or $2 are the ones that are more likely to drop hundreds on the game in the future. If you've watched any gacha related videos in the past, you've likely come across the term sunk cost fallacy. Again, this isn't a brand new concept, but we as humans get stuck in this mindset often. Sometimes it's in the form of money. You may have thoughts like, I've already spent a few bucks on this, so what's a few more? But I see this a lot more in terms of the time spent. I've already spent a few months in this game, and I want to see where it goes. It may be harmless curiosity, but gacha games hope you get attached enough to never let go, even if you aren't satisfied with the game's direction. Do you like collecting things? There's a little collector in all of us, though some more than others. For me, I like to collect plushies. For many gacha players, they feel the need to be a completionist in their character rosters. It's not good enough to just get the characters they want. No, they need them all. This is how you get players who are guaranteed to spend whenever a new character comes around. Wanting to collect isn't a bad thing, but we need to be careful not to get consumed by it. We also have to consider the effect of schedules in gacha games. These games want to wiggle their way into your daily routine, and they effectively do so by creating a system called dailies. Log into the game and get some rewards, complete some missions and turn them in for some rewards. But we have a special event going on. You don't want to miss out on this limited time event and rewards, do you? This is where the combination of all the mechanics in the previous section and all of the psychology of this section joins together to create a complicated web. You don't want to miss out, so you've integrated your gacha games as part of your daily routine. You've already spent a few dollars, so who cares if you spend a bit more? But you're just missing that one character from that Zenless Zone Zero faction. Your game just wouldn't feel complete if you didn't pull the last one to finish the set. Oh, but the banner for this character is about to end, so I best pull out my wallet to ensure that I won't miss them. Maybe you aren't enjoying the latest patch, but if you quit now, then all of the previous money and time you've spent will essentially go to waste. So you must keep playing. Do you see this slippery slope? Gacha games and the companies behind them are not your friends. They are businesses wanting to make a profit to stay alive, and they should want to make a profit. But let's talk about some of the business practices they use next so you have an easier time identifying these patterns. Business tactics. The first one is the free-to-play tag. Most gacha games are free to install and play. As a result, there is little barrier to entry. If you have a spark of curiosity and wait for the download, you're in. However, what you'll quickly find is that these games are less free to play and more free to download. You'll find yourself without the best gear, the best characters, or the smoothest gameplay until you're willing to spend some cash. Not to mention, if you don't join the gacha game near its release, you'll miss out on a bunch of rewards that will make early players forever remain ahead of you unless you're willing to spend money to bridge that gap. For example, I began Genshin Impact in version 1.4. I know a few people who started playing in Genshin Impact versions 1.5 and 1.6. I just had a month or two ahead of these players, and yet the amount of currency earned from dailies alone put me ahead. Some really rough math here. Each patch in Genshin is 6 weeks. You get 60 Primo Gems a day from dailies. That's about 1,830 Primo Gems without counting any exploration, events, etc., which makes that number higher. For every day you don't log in to do your dailies, that's 60 Primo Gems, at least in Genshin's case, that you permanently lose. But if you're willing to spend, you can bridge that gap and even race ahead of players who started far before you. In this example, these players were only a version or two after me, but think about the players who joined in versions 2, 3, 4, or even 5. They can earn rewards from exploration and quests, but all the currency from dailies and limited events are permanently unobtainable. However, monetization alone isn't enough. Businesses have to be strategic about it, as there are many types of different players in their games. We're getting into the small spenders to the whales, or in other words, the biggest spenders. They need to have monetization that suits everyone to increase the chances of a purchase being made. For small spenders, gacha games will have subscription-based services. Buy the battle pass to get double the rewards and some unique rewards. Buy the daily pass that gives you extra currency just for logging in. In the hoyoverse games, these are typically passes like the Welcome Moon or the Battle Pass. When a new item enters the shop, like a skin, discount it just enough to entice players to want to spend to get it before the discount runs out. But not all monetization actually takes place in the games themselves. If it did, these businesses would lose out on a huge market of money-making opportunities. This is where official merchandise and collaborations come in. Perhaps you've seen the Genshin Impact x KFC collab, for example. Players could get some rewards when purchasing a certain bundle from KFC, or the event can be so chaotic that it gets shut down. Merchandising and collaborations are far from a new concept. There's a reason why Pokemon is said to make more money off of their merchandise than their actual games. It's effective, but even more so in gacha games. In gacha games, almost everything monetary-wise is based on luck. If you have good luck, you'll get what you want with the least currency spent. But in real life, your money is guaranteed. Suddenly, players who aren't willing to spend on a chance in the game are willing to spend money on a physical good that is guaranteed. Maybe it's that Farina plush from the official Genshin Impact store. You know that if you add this item to your cart, that Farina plush will show up at your door, as opposed to trying to pull for Farina in the game and possibly wasting hundreds of dollars. But even not all of the merchandise is guaranteed. Some businesses add another string to this web by making blind boxes. Sure, you'll get an official product from the game, but getting the character you want or the item you want will still be left to chance. Now you've invited a crowd that wants to spend money on physical goods but still loves a good gamble. Blind boxes in general have become a huge phenomenon, and if you want to learn more about them, I highly suggest taking a deep dive into companies like PopMart. It's really fascinating to hear how they go about their blind box model. As a result of convoluted ways to spend, it naturally raises concerns, and that's what we'll discuss next. Ethics. Gambling is reserved for those who are 21 years or older in the United States. You can buy tickets for the lottery in grocery stores or gas stations, or you can go bigger to the casino. These casinos are purposely low lit with no windows, so you don't know how much time has passed by. There are staff wandering the floor to offer you drinks and other amenities so you don't get up from your seat. It's a convenient storm that encourages you to keep pulling the lever. But gacha games don't have that restriction of an age limit or a physical building to go to. Anyone can download a gacha game on their phone or computer and begin playing right away. Naturally, this began to raise concerns for the youth and how they may be conditioned to enjoy gambling from a younger age. This gets even worse when you walk down the toy aisles of stores. As a kid, I remember seeing dolls, Legos, cars, etc. Now, there's a whole aisle at my local Target dedicated to blind boxes. You don't get to buy a dollhouse with a Barbie anymore. You get to buy these balls with random furniture inside, hoping you get the one that completes your set. You don't just get to buy figurines anymore when you can have a random chance at a keychain you want from a blind box. It's not just you and I that have noticed this get out of hand, and certain countries have begun to enforce laws for transparency. When Genshin first released, there wasn't any text in the bottom left corner of the banners that there is now. As new laws passed, they were forced to write out the value of a pull. Now, this information is more readily available to the players, so instead of tricking your brain into saying, it's just 10 intertwined fates, it can now tell you, hey, these 10 intertwined fates are about $20 to just pull once on this banner. So why do we continue to play these games when there's some clear ethical concerns? The first answer is just some players just don't care about ethics. If the game is providing them some sort of service, usually being an entertainment, they are willing to overlook this. It doesn't make them a bad person by any means, it just means to them that they either ignore the money-hungry monetization or deem it worthy for the entertainment it brings. For others, it could be simply a means of routine. The gacha game has effectively integrated into your daily life and now it's just a habit. For some, it may be a full-on addiction that you cannot escape from. Gambling hits the reward center of your brain, and if constantly overstimulated, it can lead to a lack of impulse control. Thus, you spend more and more. You grind to get any kind of currency just so you can chase your high of the next gacha pull. Monetization in games is far more than giving players the options that suit them best. It deliberately uses all of these psychological and monetary strategies to entangle you in a web that is near impossible to escape. Now, we need to take a moment to discuss the potential future of gacha game monetization. Future monetization. As of writing the script, some aggressive monetization strategies have already been implemented. A little while ago, we had the double banners for Mawika and Sitlali, two characters that synergize well together. They ran at the exact same time, forcing players to choose one or the other. Or, of course, spend money to get both. Their debut banner was during the anniversary banner, which means rewards should have been greater, giving players a higher chance to get them both. Well, players did not get the rewards for the anniversary until the banners had concluded, rendering the extras useless for the first phase. Yet, this strategy of FOMO worked. Players wanted their new shiny Archon to be the best she could be, and that meant grabbing Sitlali before she vanished too. Currently in Zenless Zone Zero, there is a spending event. Use your premium currency and earn rewards until you eventually can unlock Vivian's summer skin. This is the least egregious one on the list, as it doesn't lock players into paid currency only. If you saved a lot of premium pulls, you can use them all now and get Vivian's skin without having to pay a dime. Plus, the event lasts for 2 patches, so players who are free to play can have a genuine shot at getting the skin. Where this gets a little hairy is that it's speculated a Void Hunter is going to hit the banners right after this event ends. We won't know for sure until the time comes, but these players think ZCZ developers want to empty everyone's currency before putting a super powerful unit on the banner like Miyabi, forcing players to replenish their lost stock with real money. Going back to Genshin Impact, we have the release of the new Miliastra Wonderland. If you want a more in-depth breakdown, you can watch this video on the screen after this one. Essentially, it's a user-generated mode where players can play minigames made by other players. But one of the main draws is its customization, that is, if you can afford to play. You can't grind currency on the premium banner, and even if you did spend money to roll on it, you will be spending $2 to $100 to guarantee an outfit of your choice. If you want to recolor the outfit, double that number I just said. locking one of the main appeals of the Wonderland behind a paywall has players either boycotting the mode entirely or giving in and forking over the cash. Now we're going to bounce to Honkai Star Rail for the craziest example yet. A new character is going to release, but she has a spending event attached. Similar to ZZZ, spend enough money and you can eventually unlock a skin for the girl's bow. Alright, but the spending event requires you to put in 300 real life dollars to get the bow skin. Even mega fans of this character are finding themselves scratching their head, wondering if this is worth the pretty premium tag. Not to mention that this character is rerunning with some of the best characters in the game as of current. Not only are you having to choose between the new unit, but 3 old units that are meta viable all at the same time. But hey, at least the new girl's banner lasts the entire patch. Maybe you could try to get her in phase 2, but crap, they're running 3 other characters that are exceptionally great as well. Good luck between choosing which of the 8 characters you'll get. Or, just give us your money and you can get them all. The crazy part of all of this is I haven't even touched the future monetization yet, as this section is supposed to. These are all present monetization practices. This is what's happening right now, and there's a reason to be concerned for the future. First, gacha games may lean more into subscription-based models as they are more obtainable for lower spenders. Milliastra Wonderland already has its own battle pass you can get on top of just buying the currency outright. I doubt that gacha games will want to alienate the whales that want a bunch of currency all at once, but we may see more subscription-based models as well. A lot of life seems to be subscription these days anyway. Secondly, game mechanics may bleed outside of the gacha game genre. In fact, this has already happened. In Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, you can find little gumball gacha machines around the islands that give you random items. Thankfully, it does not cost money to play these gacha machines, but there's a good chance future AAA titles may try to do that. Thirdly, there is some hope that laws will continue to be placed to protect ignorant spending from players. Forcing gacha games to list just how much their in-game currency costs compared to real-life money is a great step in the right direction. It's okay that these games want to make money, but players should be able to make informed decisions. Lastly, and the most scary method in my opinion, is the idea of personally tailored monetization. What if games can detect that you are constantly out of one specific resource and decides to generate a bundle that conveniently gives you what you're looking for? What if the game monitors your gameplay and spending habits, furthering tailoring monetization to you? We already see this happening a little bit with hoyoverse titles doing return specials if you've been logged out of the game for a certain period of time. Typically, they will give you double drops among other rewards to incentivize you to play their game again. I actually think these tailored monetization tactics are already in use, and we just haven't been great at identifying them yet. Conclusion. If you are able to navigate these games responsibly, you can have a ton of fun playing these games. I personally really love Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero. On the flip side, if you are prone to impulse control issues and gambling, then these games are just not a good idea. I don't even like the fact that many of these gacha titles are 13+, as they should be limited to adults. Kids struggle enough as it is learning the world around them for the first time. We don't need to be bombarding their reward centers in their brain to chase the next shiny new thing or rare collectible. This video wasn't made to scare you away from gacha games, but to help you understand the intricacies that go into their monetization. At the end of the day, they need to make their money, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to support a game that you love. It's how you go about it that can make all the difference. The most powerful thing you can do when playing these gacha games is knowing when to put your controller down. You can pick the controller back up on your terms, not theirs. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I talk a lot about gacha and art-related topics on my channel, and there's plenty more videos you can watch next if you'd like. I hope to see you again.